help? I think we should normalize not saying Happy New Year anymore. Because I think we just know that, like, by January 5th, we're all going to be tired of 2023 already. Huh? Hi, Germany. Today we are going to be cooking a lot of beans. We're going to be cooking a lot of vegetables. I'm going to be turning on the oven. I'm going to be using the Instant Pot. I'm going to be turning on the stove. Firing on all cylinders. I hope you're ready. And I might eat a red delicious apple or two. I have soaked some green peas. That's going to get cooked on the stove. I also have some black-eyed peas, and these are also going to get cooked on the stove. We're going to rinse them out. And I also have some chickpeas that we will be cooking in the Instant Pot because I for sure want these to get creamy. So black-eyed peas, I have no problem cooking on the stovetop, but chickpeas sometimes take a while. So Instant Pot, stovetop. Cool? Cool. In the meantime, I will go ahead and boil some water up in a pot. Hi, Budapest. Want to defrost this sweet potato that we cooked maybe when I had COVID or even before, but I'm going to defrost this, see if I can make something with this because it's been in there for too long. For cooking chickpeas, I'm going to add a little bit of baking soda into the Instant Pot just to help them break down a little bit more. It does leave a sort of alkaline taste, so that's the trade-off if you're not a fan of that. Don't use too much, I guess. I also want to not season these so that I could use the aquafaba, but I might want to put a little bit of salt, which some people say if you put salt in the beans as you cook them, it makes the beans not get creamy. Is that true? I don't know, man. Everybody has a theory. Chickpeas are rinsed. I think I'm going to put in a half teaspoon each of baking soda and salt. People are going to yell at me for putting salt in my beans. You can yell at me if you want, I can't hear you anyway. Water. I'm going to cover it by about 1.5 inches. Okay, that's going. Now we return our attention to the stovetop. I will move Mom's pot. I will move the frying pot. I will bring on the skillet. So apparently eating black-eyed peas on New Year's Day is like good luck in Southern traditions. But I'm just cooking these beans because I'm going to make a bean salad for my friend Dan. And I happen to like the look of these beans. Got them all from Patel Brothers. The chickpeas were, I think, a 4-pound bag for $5.50 maybe. And the black-eyed peas, I think, were maybe $4.50. And then the green peas were maybe $3.50. So it just got cheaper and cheaper. Hi, Ohio. I mean, I don't really know how to explain the taste of any beans to you, you know? A lot of the flavor of beans is in the skin. So mung beans have a pretty intense ratio of skin to inner bean. They're so small. They have a dirt-like earthy taste, but most beans do. It really depends on what kind of mung beans you get too. If you get the ones without the skin, that's a separate one. Probably filled that a little too much. Oh well, we'll see. Turn that on for you. Do they taste like peas? I don't know. Do chickpeas taste like peas? Hi, Russia. How the fuck are you doing in Russia? Shit is a mess, guys. The world is still on fire, by the way. In case you forgot, people are still dying and suffering. Pea protein that's unflavored is absolutely disgusting in my opinion. I tried that once and I could not deal with it. Hi Canada. So I went thrifting with Aaron yesterday, and while we were walking, we were chatting, and he happened to watch this video that was released by, like, I guess the Ukrainian army, of using a drone to deploy a grenade into trenches where soldiers were trying to tough out the already horrendously rough winters. I won't go into details, but it was a pretty tragic scene, and I just cannot figure out why humans do this. It is a truly horrendous system we've set up for ourselves, and I really don't understand the justification of bringing even more life into this fuckery. But as it stands, we have beans on 3 cylinders. We're about to wash and roast some broccoli. I'm going to wash and peel some carrots to roast. I'm going to roast some onions. I am going to make some pickled onions as well. And I'm going to be eating some Granny or Red Delicious apples. And I'm going to try to not freak out about how shitty this world is on this very fine, rainy, gray, moderately temp New Year's Eve in New York. I hope you all are doing okay, all things considered, but I'm truly not understanding this world. Hi, Seattle. It's just, like, I don't get it. I do think that my depression has been very up and down these last few days, and for sure being reminded of how stupid our choices are as a species does not help. But that's that. Thank you for listening to the first mini rant of the day. Fucking hate this shit, man. I'm not even fighting the wars. And it already fucking sucks ass. I don't know if anyone else feels this way, but it's kind of hard to celebrate when you realize what else is going on in the world. I don't know. I don't even know what we're celebrating, honestly. If you came for New Year's cheer, I cannot guarantee that. Currently doing a horrible job of giving you New Year's cheer. But I'm sure if this is not your first time here, you were expecting this bullshit from me anyway, right? Black-eyed peas are up to a boil. Let me turn that down slightly. I did get 2 bunches of broccoli from the dollar bin. They look pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and taste test one broccolette. Sometimes they are bitter. Now they are good. Great deal. Go me. I'm going to cut them all into smaller florets, and I'm going to rinse them again because sometimes broccoli trees can trap a lot of dirt and or bad spots that you don't see right away. So I like to give them a preliminary rinse soak and then chop them up into smaller pieces and then go ahead and rinse them again. I come from my mom's Chinese tradition of like soaking vegetables until they spring new life. Sometimes she used to soak them for hours, like half a day. So I always try to make sure that I'm washing my vegetables thoroughly because you just don't know. So the story behind this bean project is that my friend Dan likes to buy these little pre-packaged bean salads from Aldi. And I said, dude, that's a lot of plastic, and also I can probably make it tastier and cheaper. So I offered to do a test batch of bean salad for him, which is a great opportunity for me to also cook some beans for myself and to roast off some veggies for myself so that we start off the week with vegetables in the fridge rather than chocolate. And I've been subsisting purely on a whole 2-pound jar of tahini and dates and dried figs this week, which isn't the worst food to eat, but also very imbalanced. And I'm just trying to get a little more variety into the diet for health, you know? I also bought 2 bunches of cilantro today from Apna Bazaar for $1. So I'll probably rinse these off and store them and chop them and maybe put some in the salad. Sounds good. Some aromatic greens. Always a good idea. Just to give you a little blueprint of what I'm expecting to do today, roasting all the vegetables and pickling the onions and cooking the beans and assembling them together with a spicy chili oil that I'm going to make. Dan says he's trying to work up his spice tolerance, so I'm going to try to use some of Mom's dry chilies that are way spicier than what I recently bought from the supermarket and see if that can pack a punch. I also bought some jalapenos that I think I can go ahead and pickle with some of the onions too, so that we can throw them in there for a little bit of crunch action. I'm sorry if I'm missing your comments, just keep tagging me and I'll try to glance over every now and then. Two fans in Buffalo, okay. I doubt very much that I'm ever gonna go to Buffalo in the near future, but noted, thank you. Onions, let's wash 6, maybe? 6 sounds good. And let's do 7, why not? 7 onions. I love snow up to my ears. My kitchen is a safe space, and I thank you all for considering it as such. It feels very safe and cozy to me, and honestly, I love all the rooms in this new apartment, but kitchen is always going to be my favorite. Let us turn on the oven soon. Giving the onions a rinse, and then I'm going to rinse out my huge bowl so that I may use it for tossing our vegetables up in oil and salt and pepper. And I know a lot of people just toss their vegetables on the baking sheet tray, which, you know, saves you dishes and stuff, but I've also found that it doesn't coat the vegetables that well because you just don't have the tossing coating power that you do have in a circular half dome bowl. So my preferred method, especially when I'm making huge batches of roasted stuff, is always to use a bowl. But you do you, girl. You do you. I seem much more centered. It could just be that I'm really tired. But I'm glad. Does me being centered make you happy? As long as it makes you happy, then I'm happy. What I'm going to do is take these broccoli florets and I'm going to chop them up into even smaller pieces. I want them to be like no bigger than this size. Absolute maximum size. Because I want them to be like a little bit crispy crunchy. And it's hard to achieve that crispy crunchiness if they're all so big. I'm going to raise you higher so you can see above the mess. And not high enough, unfortunately. I haven't been boiling these peas. What a dummy. Okay. I hope you can see enough. So I will be chopping the stems because stems are delicious. Broccoli stems deserve to be eaten. They are wonderful roasted. And another plus to cutting your broccoli smaller is that it will cook faster. Now obviously you have a trade-off of spending more time to process them into smaller pieces, but they will also cook faster. So it's up to you. Smaller pieces also hold on to seasoning a little bit better since they have more surface area to get oil and salt all around. Bigger pieces obviously have a lot of center broccoli that don't ever get to touch that seasoning. So life is a trade-off. You choose what you want to trade off. You choose what works for you. This, I'm feeling it today, so I'm doing it today. Not every day. Some days I just steam my broccoli or microwave it. But today I guess I'm feeling like this would be a nice way to de-stress from everything. I have been seeing a lot of Instagram posts go up reminiscing about the year and thanking everyone for everything that they've done and gratitude, and that's all great. But where is the representation for, less satisfactory retrospectives? I do wish I had eagle eyesight. It's very blurry, and for people that have eye sensitivities, this is hurting. I'm sorry, Caddy. This is the amount of data that I have, and this is the best I can do with the equipment that I have. You're free to tap out or not look, but I don't know what I can do for you, girl. Right now, this is my life. You're either here or you're not. You can feel free to tell me all of your issues, but I can't fix them. That's what I've learned this year. Like I said, I will not be getting internet until there's another internet service provider outside of Spectrum. Currently my building only has Spectrum servicing, so I don't want to give Spectrum money, and I'm very stubborn about it, so maybe there's other alternatives I can look into, but right now I'm too tired. So you're gonna have to put up with shitty quality streams or not watch at all. Or you can tell Spectrum to stop being an asshole. Either way. Google-fi, interesting. So how blurry is it? Was it better before I raised you to a higher level? Should I lower you down? Is that how it works? Or has it been blurry all throughout the day? Which is to say the last half hour. gonna try one last thing then. I'm gonna try to open up the window and see if that helps. I don't know, last time it did. I don't know how data works, guys. Asterisk C? Yep. You and me, same page, bud. When I moved it, it got worse. You're back now. I guess I am thankful for very many things. One, that I wasn't born in Russia or Ukraine, and that I'm not fighting a war. And two, I was thinking about this. I'm grateful that Mom died, not because she's gone, but because I think her death propelled me to change a lot of aspects of how I was thinking about life and living life. And I think it's taught me a lot. I had a huge argument with Grandma today because she was threatening to throw herself out of her window because yesterday apparently nurses didn't give her enough pull-up diapers and or toilet paper, even though she has stacks and stacks of paper behind her head acting as pillows, just like cached there. And I like went in today and she wouldn't stop crying and she was like, I don't know what to do. There's nobody helping me with toilet paper. And I'm like, there's toilet paper in the bathroom, Grandma. You have paper underneath your pillow. I don't know what more you need. And she was saying that she would be better off dead. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, go for it. Kill yourself. Because this is something that she would basically emotionally manipulate my uncle in China like over a decade ago, and she did that to my mom while my mom was alive, and she did that to me when I visited my mom when my mom was still alive, and now she's still doing it. And I'm just like, time to put action to your words, Grandma. Calling her bluff. And she was like so angry that I was yelling at her that she was like, I don't know why you're yelling at me, like this is unnecessary and I think you should leave and you don't need to come back. And I'm like, okay, Grandma, so I'm gonna leave. And so I started leaving, and then she yelled back at me. She was like, wait, where are you going? And I was like, you told me to leave and never come back. And she was like, but you didn't bring me my water yet. Because I bring her hot water every day from the cafeteria. I fill up her thermos with hot water. And I was like, well, you said I don't need to come back, right? So you're gonna have to figure out how to get hot water for yourself, right? And she just like, she wouldn't stop acting out. And I said, Grandma, you have to mean the things that you say. Otherwise, don't say them, right? If you say that you don't want me to come back, then I'm not going to, because that's what you're telling me. If you're just going to threaten me with these empty manipulations, then I'm not going to take it from you, because you bullied Uncle like this, you bullied Mom like this, and I refuse to let you bully me like this. So she was just like so frustrated, and I get it. Like, it's fucking hard, okay? I've said this before. She's in a tough situation. She's unhappy with her life. She feels trapped, yada, yada, yada. All of that. I understand. I went and I got the water for her, and I left. It's rainy outside today, so there was no sun to be had anyway. So she didn't miss out on much. I didn't take her out for a walk. But I just refuse to be stuck in the same patterns of enabling that behavior from her. I know she didn't kill my mom, rationally. But there is a part of my brain that just refuses to forgive Grandma for behaving like this and exerting this kind of pressure, emotional stress onto both my uncle and my mom. I do blame Grandma for part of Mom's death, the stress that built up that Mom didn't know how to digest. I'm learning how to digest now. I understand that my grandma is turning 95 in half a month. I totally understand I can't treat her like I would treat someone my age, someone my mom's age. She's just not herself the way that I remember her being, but she is still herself because this is what aging means. And I am trying to just process all of this as I go along. And this year has been a year of learning for myself what self-preservation means and what I need to do for myself, even if it's uncomfortable, in order to preserve my sanity in all respects, professionally, personally, familially, and relationship-wise. So, we have not come out on the other side yet. We are still stuck, but it's okay. I'm not starving inside this maze. I'm just gonna take my time with it. And maybe there is no way out of the maze. Maybe we're just all stuck in the maze trying to figure it out. So you gotta take breaks, right? Like, you can't just keep running forward, turning all the corners, running out of breath, and like running out of fuel. You have to take breaks. You have to sit down. You have to eat snacks. You have to hydrate. You have to sleep. And then you wake up the next day and you walk around that maze a little bit more. What I learned most about self-preservation is that sometimes you need to get over your old rhythms and patterns of behavior in order to stay alive. You can't keep doing things the way you've always done them because they have started to not serve you well, and you need to get over yourself sometimes, and get beyond yourself with kindness. Not to say that like you need to degrade yourself or abuse yourself or criticize yourself to get over yourself, but you need to get over yourself, the self that is stuck in a rut. My grandmother has not always been this difficult. Uncle says that she got difficult when my grandfather died. So in her 80s, she probably got worse. How the hell do you manually change old habits? I don't know. You decide for yourself what you need and be honest with yourself and give yourself time and space and forgiveness to try things out, because you won't excel at new things the first time you do them. You have to keep doing them, and they'll start to feel more comfortable, hopefully. I don't know. I'm saying this like I know what I'm doing. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm just doing them, and I'm trying to see, hey, can I stay alive doing it this way? So life is all about experiments, right? None of us are guaranteed to come out on the other side with results, even though we have whole industries that promise you results. I think we all know by now that they are mostly full of shit, and they're just trying to make some profit off of you by selling you those illusions and dreams. But dreams be dreams, you know? Sometimes they come true, but oftentimes it's through sheer luck and not really by your own skills. Most of the time, I've noticed I have no control over my life. There are just too many moving parts and too many hands and no clear direction from the people who are manning this ship, and I'm just trying to not drown, especially when the boat capsizes, or when I decide that this boat is too toxic and I need to jump in order to survive in a different way. And yeah, it does feel dangerous. It is uncharted territory, I guess, but if you know something's not working out for you, you know something's not working out for you. And you need to decide for yourself what you need to do next. Some people say, hey, this isn't bad enough. I am still alive, and that's good enough for me, and that's good enough for them. And some people decide that it is not simply good enough to just be alive, and they need something else for themselves. It's all a very personal, vague, abstract choice. And I am not here to define for you what you need. I think 10 minutes more on these beans, maybe. And I'm going to slap a lid on these since they won't boil over now. The boots have arrived. I'm thinking maybe tomorrow I try them on. New boots for the new year. I was thinking about how we have a lot of advice columns and kind of therapy culture. Oh, I guess they will still boil over. Therapy culture related viewpoints of how one should go about regulating one's emotions. And I've been thinking recently whether or not that in itself is like a toxic way that therapy culture has made us think that we need to all regulate our emotions. Because sometimes emotions, I'm not capable of regulating them like that. Like, I recognize that grandma will do what grandma did and it's not any fault of her own, and that I will react the way that I react because it's just a lot of stress. But with this culture of like, hey, you should be cognizant of your emotions and you should work towards regulating them, I'm not against that, but I also feel like that kind of feeds into a mindset where I start to blame myself because I'm not good enough, quote unquote good enough at regulating my emotions. Like today, my uncle was witnessing this whole argument and fight go down between me and grandma, and when I left grandma, he said, you know, like now that you're done with visiting grandma, you need to like let this go from your head and you need to just carry on with your own life and you need to not think about it anymore. And obviously I said, yes, of course. But just saying yes, of course, doesn't mean that it leaves you, right? Like, I think this is all part of why I feel in such a crabby mood today. I was thrifting yesterday when the phone call came through of grandma first struggling with this no toilet paper issue. And I missed the call and I had to call the facility back, and that whole phone tag thing was like stressful and anxiety inducing because I didn't know what the fuck was wrong with grandma. The last time her facility persistently called me like this and told me to call back was when grandma fell and ruptured her arm, and I spent the next like 8 hours sitting in the ER with her while she threw tantrums all day because she wasn't being seen fast enough. So like all of that adds up to my mental workflow in a way. And so today, even though I knew that grandma's life wasn't in danger and she was probably just throwing a tantrum because of something that's not quite about the diapers or the toilet paper, even recognizing all of that doesn't mean that I'm able to let it all go like that. It's still stuck with me because dealing with this kind of tantrum points to a larger issue of like how I can continue being grandma's primary caretaker sustainably, and also trying to think about how I can make her happier, which seems like an impossible task, right? Because honestly, I don't even know what she wants. She says she wants to go back to China, but the reality of the situation is when she is back in China, she is going to bring a whole host of issues to my uncle and his family there. The care in China is also not going to be as attentive as it is here. Both uncle and I agree. And it's just like, is giving grandma what she thinks she wants actually what is best for her? And I want to do and respect grandma's choices, but I also know that her choices are short-sighted in such a way that she just wants what she wants, but she's not thinking it through in terms of consequences. And I have to be, the person with, I hate to be hierarchical and like tyrannical about this, but I think I have more brain power than grandma does right now, being a third of her age. And I have to take on the responsibility of thinking things through, because what is at risk here is not only grandma's happiness, but also my uncle and his family's happiness. So I'm not responsible for just acquiescing to grandma and her needs and her desires and fulfilling them, but also paying for the consequences of what her returning to China would mean for my uncle. Obviously, it's not going to happen now because the COVID situation in China is just bonkers. They've gone from zero COVID to like absolutely zero restrictions in such a short amount of time. It's just like insane what the government has done. I don't understand any of it in terms of logically why they decided to do it this way. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. Oh gosh. We've gone through another bottle of olive oil. Soon I will need more olive oil. I'm going to turn the black eyed peas off, and I'm just going to slap the lid on top, like so, and I'm going to let it cook in its own residual heat for 10 minutes. As for the peas, I'm going to taste one and see where we're at. Because I can probably also turn this one off too. Oh yeah, these are done. Off, off. I'm gonna turn the oven up to 375. I am going to refill my olive oil bottle with my tin of olive oil right now. I mean, this is just like, I'm not having it any worse than anyone else who has to care for an elderly person. Like, I realize that. But also, I'm trying to talk about it, to normalize talking about how much all of this sucks, because I feel like a lot of caretakers suffer in silence. And I have it pretty good. I only spend about 2 hours on grandma every day, provided that she doesn't have an accident or a freak out. I spend like an hour preparing her food. I spend an hour visiting her and taking her out to sunbathe in the morning, and then I'm done. Other people don't have it so hands off, Other people have to be there for them all the time. Like when grandma was in China, my uncle was taking care of her like my mom was, all the way at home, 24/7, no breaks. Like, that is enough to drive me insane if I just had to do it for 1 week. Imagine doing it for years on end. So I realize how lucky I am. But it still sucks, man. Just aging sucks ass. It sucks for grandma too. She has to watch herself get like gradually weaker and incapable of fetching herself all the things that she wants. And of course that leads to a sense of helplessness that snowballs into acting out and tantrums and all of that, because she feels helpless. She feels trapped. She hates it. She hates being hopeless about, you know, being an adult. That is a fucking tough spot to be in. So at least I'm not turning 95 next year and feeling like I can't do shit for myself. Because I can imagine how that gets real heavy real fast. And I also keep joking to my friends that I'm making sure I'm doing everything I can to not live past 80, and I mean it. I don't want to. I don't want to live past 80. It's just, if I had to choose between living to grandma's age and dying at mom's age of 61, I would choose 61. Just honestly, it's so detrimental. It's so frustrating for the caretakers. It's so frustrating for the people who have to live to this age and not be in good enough health to take care of themselves. It just feels hopeless. I have told her how I feel. Y'all think I haven't? I've spent 14 months with my grandma. And knowing how brutally honest and transparent and quote-unquote rude I can be, I for sure brought it up to grandma. But there is a certain point at which I can only do so many Groundhog Days before I lose it. Especially when I feel like I can't enjoy my own life without interruptions. And is that a selfish thing? Yeah, absolutely. Abso-fucking-lutely it is a selfish thing. But it just feels shitty to have to be on call, in a sense, all the time. For something like not enough toilet paper, which it wasn't even the case. When the nurse called and I explained that that's what she was frustrated about, he went to her bathroom and he was like, there is toilet paper here. So do I trust grandma, who has definitely lied to me before, or do I trust the nurses, you know? I do think that this is really interesting timing too, because last New Year's Eve, she flipped out on me too. Because last New Year's Eve, they had a COVID outbreak at her facility, and all the nurses had to move everyone to a different floor to quarantine the positive cases. And during that move, grandma was so incensed and so disoriented that she started yelling at me on the phone and calling me a robber and a bully. And that was a day that I received that phone call when I was in Manhattan with Aaron, and I fucking punched the wall of a building. It's just like, you can say I have anger management issues, but maybe anger management issues is a normal occurrence when you're dealing with this, you know? I don't know what to tell ya. So again, emotion regulation. Is it putting the onus unfairly on the individual, yet again, something that we excel at in our current society? Do I regulate these emotions, or do I realize that sometimes life is just a piece of shit and I have to like eat this shit pie and it really tastes not great, but it's what I have to do to keep going. This is a lot of broccoli. I will remind you that this broccoli was $2. Hi, Gina. And this is why I find so much defensiveness in the fact that like we choose to label grief as a mental illness when it goes on for too long. Like the amount of comments that I got from people on my Instagram and even on my YouTube too was like, are you seeing a therapist? Like, you seem so down. And I'm like, yeah, my mom just fucking died. How long do you want me to be able to come out of, like, I just don't understand. The way that we look at mental health, it has become a sort of toxicity in itself. That we stress the importance of mental health as an individual self-care responsibility foregoes the acknowledgement that, like, sometimes it's not you. Sometimes life just is shit. I think I have too much for this tray. This is all gonna steam, which means we will have to cook it for longer. Which is fine. We'll just cook it longer. Chickpeas are done. We're gonna turn that off. We're gonna let it naturally depressurize. In the meantime, I will throw this in. Have fun at the bookstore and thrift store. So then I realized that the more people tell me to not talk about it, the more I need to talk about it, because why is there a need to stop people from talking about certain things if it's not dangerous? So then it must be perceived dangerous by some to talk about these things, which makes me wonder, well, what's dangerous about talking about these things? What taboos am I offending, and why were they there to begin with? And is it a good thing that they're there? Because I don't think it is. I've become very wary of taboos in the last year and a half. And if other people are not ready to deal with shit, then they should have that conversation with themselves first instead of trying to mute me. I also don't understand why they need to come onto where I exist to tell me how to behave when they can just leave. Like, you realize that your agency does not have to be exercised over another person, but rather you can exercise it within yourself. I don't know if people realize that. I guess ironically you could apply the same critique to me and be like, well, June, you can just ignore those comments, which, yes, totally valid. I can. But it does something to me to have to keep reading them, because I want to read all the comments that come through on my channel, because I want to engage with my viewers and I want to create a sense of parasocial relationships, and it's very hard for me to read all of the comments when I inevitably come across those. So gauging how to stay healthy for yourself and also continue doing what you love to do without letting it be to your detriment is difficult. It's something that I'm learning and negotiating every day. And this is what's exhausting about life, is that you have no control over how other people behave, and yet your life is composed of all the decisions that other people have made, with or without your consent. In so many respects, this is the struggle of living, which has become all the more apparent to me after getting fired, and all the more apparent to me after I moved out, which is that I can eliminate sources of stress by disentangling myself from arrangements that no longer work for me. But there will always be some sort of arrangement that I have to be a part of because I am just living in a society, right? So, some of us have more means and wealth and ability to disentangle ourselves from bad situations that don't work for us, that are misfits, and like some are luckier than others in that respect. So what do you do when you realize something isn't working for you and you can't afford to disentangle? Open window good. Got it. I'm glad that's working. I think in a way, we are all a little bit grandma, all in our way, feeling a little bit stuck and helpless, and I get it. And she is absolutely, especially at her age and given her history of trauma in life, entitled to act out. But nevertheless, no matter who we are, I do still believe that there is always a consequence for your behavior. And while she may act however she wants to act, I can too. So if she acts out like this and I can't take it, then I will, unfortunately, if I can't emotionally regulate myself enough, yell at her. I don't think there's anything productive to be had about me trying to bottle it all up to prevent yelling at her, because obviously I did that because that's what I could do in the moment, and it's what I chose to do in the moment, given all of my knowledge of what happened with Mom. And yeah, absolutely, we are cut from the same cloth. That's the thing. We totally are. So she should understand better than anyone why I'm having the reaction that I'm having. It's so funny, whenever I get angry at her, she starts calling me by my mom's name. Because I guess this is the way that my mom reacted to her, too. after a while. And it's strangely heartwarming when she starts calling me by my mom's name. I feel like I really have become my mom in so many different ways, but also at the same time trying not to become the mom that I knew, to preserve myself in more ways than one. Both as someone who's distinct from my mom and as someone who's not trying to go fucking crazy, interacting with her 95-year-old grandmother who's on some of the worst days sick of being alive. And I use those moments to remind myself that one day, if I live to this age, I will go through the exact same thing, which gives me perspective on what living a long and healthy life means. It's not what other people tell you it means. I'm seeing it in reality and practice, what it actually means in real life. So I'm thankful for that insight. A front view seat to the future. The future is not always what you imagine it to be. It is not always what you hope it to be. In fact, it often is more of the same. Which I think is why I'm feeling so grouchy today. Everybody's like, Happy New Year, and I'm like, is it a new year? Does one day make a difference? Will any of these burdens magically disappear at the stroke of midnight? I also think, honestly, yeah, you're right. Maybe Grandma does need an audience too to feel heard. Unfortunately, she doesn't really socialize with anyone else at the place because of language barrier and her own racism that prohibits her from interacting with anyone who doesn't look vaguely Chinese. So what do I do in this situation? If I'm her only audience, I can't be there for her all the time. I need to be here for myself too. I'm going to pour some of the pea cooking liquid into the black pea cooking liquid. Black peas are looking a little dry, and like they could use some help. She talks to my uncle every day. She doesn't talk to her. Like, she doesn't talk to him. She just says the same thing. Did anything change in China? Did anything change in Beijing? Are you guys okay? You have to be careful. You have to stay vigilant. This year is a year of chaos and like zai, which means like great tragedy or great trouble or whatever, calamity. She always says this year is a year of great calamity. She said it last year. She said it this year. She's going to say it in 2023. I'm sick of hearing it, but that's all she says every day to Uncle. I Skype him, I Zoom him every day when I go see her. She has a chance to talk to him about other things, but she doesn't. So, what can I do? So if she goes back to China, it's going to be the same loop. She's going to say the same things, and she's going to fall into the same behaviors. That is something that we have to prepare for, because that is very likely going to be the case. She's incapable of doing anything different now. This is all she knows. She's already having hard enough of a time grasping on to what she used to know and retaining that. There's no way she can really learn much new habits. I mean, yes, I take her out on walks, I lead her through breathing exercises, and I think she is able to regulate her breathing quite a bit. But that took 14 months of work with her, constantly. She used to know how to read a calendar and how to figure out the date on her own, but now she's back to constantly asking me and Uncle what day it is. She doesn't even try anymore, and I don't try anymore either because it's exhausting. At a certain point, I realized I just have to give up. Some things cannot be won. Some things cannot be changed. Some things must just be allowed to exist as is. Because there's only so much one person can do. So it has to be fun to let it be that way. The other day, my mom's coworkers went to visit her and brought her food, and I had told them many times, please don't bring more than one serving of food, and they assured me that it's not too much food, and they brought her dumplings and sticky rice and all of that, and of course, what does Grandma do? Call me, because she doesn't have a refrigerator and she didn't want to eat it all, she wanted to save it, and she went and called me, so that I could go and pick up the food and take it home and refrigerate it and bring it back to her, heat it the next day. I went to literally pick up 6 dumplings. Like, I would rather pay to buy 6 dumplings for her than to not have to go out and pick that shit up. but that is what Grandma does, and I just have to submit myself to it. It's partially why I chose to move so close to her, because I knew these things would happen, and that when the time comes, it will be easier for me to go 2 blocks rather than 12 blocks. So all the carrots I can fit on this tray, so I'm going to keep the rest of them and maybe pickle them quite a bit. I think the olive oil once again will end up being the priciest portion of this recipe. Now we have every piece coated every which way. I'm going to leave some space in the middle for our onions. Because Grandma is so far removed from doing things herself, I think sometimes she also has a very skewed idea of how much effort things take. And I can see how frustrating this got for my mom too. Because Grandma would offer cooking advice for how to make things differently the next time, but she also doesn't realize that, like, hey, in order to make her youtiao, I have to commit hours of waiting on the dough to formulate, and then I have to fry it every single morning. And for Mom to have gone through working full-time and taking care of Grandma full-time and putting up with all of her criticisms about what she's doing right or wrong all the time and not have it feel like she's doing enough is exhausting. I truly feel for my mom now, being in this position, than I've ever been able to feel for her. Because she always said to me, like, you don't know what's going on, and I'm like, I know I don't know, but there must be something you can do to take care of yourself better. And now I'm flashing back, and I'm just like, yeah, I told myself I wouldn't lose my temper with my grandma, and now look, I'm losing it. So for me to have told Mom that there must be something she can do was also another layer of added stress to make her feel inadequate. So in a way, if Grandma at all killed Mom, then I did too. I had a hand in killing Mom. And this is also part of grieving and dealing with Grandma, is that every day I have to confront my role in Mom's death as well as Grandma's role in Mom's death, because nobody is without sin in this situation, if there is sin to begin with. So not only is it just difficult to deal with Grandma's tantrum It is also difficult to deal with my own emotions that spring up every time I experience this tantrum, because it's a very convoluted relationship of feeling like I'm both the victim and the one who victimized my mother when she was going through this. So at the end of the day, I'm angry at Grandma, and I'm also fucking angry at myself. But immediately, your brain doesn't work that out. Your brain just says, react. So I react. I think it's time for an apple break. We have been cooking for almost an hour and a half. Wow. Time flies. How was that rant? Don't judge me, but I bought Red Delicious. They were 2 for $1. I was like, how bad could it be? They're all supermarket apples, right? We'll see. A little mealy, but not terribly. And the flavor's pretty good, actually. Very fresh and spring-like. Lightly floral. A little bit watery, but a little bit of crunch. You can put Red Delicious in salads. You can roast them. You can do whatever you want with them. Make applesauce. Cooked beans, check. Roast veggies, check. Pickled onions, next. They're going into this jar of pickled beets. Families are hard. I think we're at a point in society where we can openly acknowledge that and not have it come across as like an ingrate thing to say. Families are hard, but they are hard because we want to work on them, right? Just like unionizing a workplace. Creating a union is hard. Change is hard, but we want to work towards putting our effort into changing it because we find it unsustainable as is, and we care enough about it to make it work better for everyone involved. So, just because we acknowledge that things are hard doesn't mean that we've given up on it. We just have to find a way to work around it to make it sustainable as a practice for ourselves. Because otherwise it's just suicide. And I think a lot of the ways in which our society functions right now is suicidal because we are seen as disposable and replaceable. And so we don't mind it when we act in systemically suicidal ways because we are all disposable, just like how we treat the environment, just how we treat animals on mass farming operations. It's the same principle applied all across the board. Really the same issues, the same patterns of behavior and thought. And we're all kind of miserable about it. So I think the sooner we can acknowledge how much things suck together, the sooner we can get to accepting it and also being honest about how to make things work not so awfully. But until we can begin to talk transparently and honestly about these issues, we will not be finding solves for them. We are just excusing them. We are trying to brush them under the carpet. Which is why the lack of transparency frustrates me so much. We have 2 more onions and these jalapenos. I think what I'm going to do is to chop them up and saute them for the salad. going to de-seed the jalapenos. I just find seeds very distracting. I don't like them. Distracting in both taste and texture. They are already burning my hands, so I feel like these will be very good jalapenos. Sometimes jalapenos taste like bell peppers and I don't understand why, but I guess that's how people work too. We all look more or less the same, but we all function so differently sometimes. I actually think I might save a sliver of the jalapeno for my own pickling purposes. Maybe to spice it up a little bit. And I'm going to cut them into circles so that I don't mistake them for other pieces in my pickle jar. That might be disastrous. And since I have these carrots that didn't fit, I'm gonna chop up a couple of them and we can saute them together with the jalapenos. check up on the broccoli. See how that's doing. Our chickpeas have also naturally decompressed, so we can check that next. Some bits of char, not terrible. Definitely needs a little more oil, I think, to be its tastiest. But not bad. I'm gonna switch the position of the tray since my oven is so uneven. I'm really disappointed with this oven, honestly. It's burning so many things. But yet another thing I will learn to live with. I'm going to do 6 minutes for that tray. Check back on it. And we can start to see about our beans. Nice little bit of protein. Boop, boop. Fun. Oh, so soft. 30 minutes was definitely overkill. Must drain immediately, but also capture our aquafaba a little bit. This is like perfect for hummus making and not great for bean salad making. It's a little too mush. But I will show you. The aquafaba. Bean cooking liquid. You can use this as an egg substitute in vegan baking. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. I just decided to save it. That's ready to be dumped too. I'm not going to save the split pea water. It's not as thick as chickpea water for some reason. I don't know why chickpeas are the best beans ever, but they are. It's rather liquidy and watery, so. I'm also going to rinse it out to get these detached floaty bits off. There's a lot of them. I'm sure I could make little crisps with them, but I'm just not feeling it today. You'll have to forgive me. I think the top might be hotter than the bottom, which is very strange. Was not expecting that. I'm going to use this chance to toast some of Mom's chili peppers that we're going to use in our hot oil. I'm going to set a 5-minute timer for those. I might also start coughing soon due to that spice. You've been warned. And this is why split peas are more expensive than whole peas, because split peas already have these little skins removed. If you're not nitpicky, you can just deal with it. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how nitpicky am I today? Like 6. I'm gonna stop now. Let us check for broccoli seasoning. Perfect. Not as crunchy as I like it, but really nice and tender, well seasoned. Oh, I'm tired. This will be our bean tossing bowl. Bean number 1. Time to taste our black-eyed peas. Oh, damn, that was fast. Ooh, that's a little burnt, huh? Sorry, Mom. We might have to toast that again. Ooh, that looks too burnt. All right, normally I would have been upset that I just fucked up half of Mom's dried chili peppers, but don't give a shit anymore. Black-eyed peas are great. Let's drain. Woo! That is, ooh, ooh. Terrible idea. Roasting these in the oven is a terrible idea. Ooh. Okay. more. Oh God. Oh, that hurts. That's good enough. Let's not go too far. Learn your lessons. Okay. I'm going to wash this pan so I can heat up the frying oil that we need in it. And then afterwards we can just use it to stir fry our carrot, onion, jalapeno mixture in. Give our carrots a toss. Onions a toss. Broccoli a toss. Just shaking my pickled onions a little bit so that everything's incorporated. We're gonna go back to eating some apple. And then I'm gonna chop up some garlic and ginger for our chili oil. Wait, how are we doing on battery? 26. Let me juice y'all up, if I may. For the sauteed veggies, I don't need to chop it too finely, but for the chili oil, I kind of do need to go finer. So, we're gonna rough chop all of them, and then I'll pass over half of them. For my chili oil, I will be frying everything in a metal bowl so that we don't shatter any glasses, and then transferring it into the glass after it's cooled a little bit for maximum safety. So in terms of order in our frying bowl, chili peppers going first. We're gonna throw in some red citron peppercorns. I'm gonna turn off our oven. Gonna go in with some green ground citron peppercorns. A little bit of white pepper. A little bit of less potent chili peppers for color. These are way redder, as you can see, than Mom's. Okay. I'm gonna go in with salt, sugar, and MSG. I'm eyeballing everything. This is a condiment. You can go a little heavier. Shouldn't matter too much. The veggies are looking great. We're just gonna leave them in there. That's what that looks like. Going in with a little bit of ground cumin. And then we're gonna try to grind it like a mortar and pestle. Some of the bigger chili peppers are too big. We're still gonna use this opportunity to try to grind down some of the citron peppercorns and crack them open. Enjoy your ASMR while I choke. If the MSG will dissolve, but it doesn't matter since you'll be applying the oil onto food, so it's going to reach your food anyway, whether or not it is dissolved fully in the oil mixture. I'm going to add in some white sesame seeds. And I'm putting all of the dries on the bottom because I don't want the oil to hit them first. What I do want the oil to hit first is our wets, which includes fresh garlic and ginger. That way you have a little bit of a buffer from the hot oil. before it starts to burn the drier stuff. The drier stuff will basically fry faster than wetter stuff will. So I like to layer the moisture-laden ingredients on top and have them have a chance to get evaporated. Ginger I will also be mincing. Don't want huge chunks. They won't fry as evenly and they will be too nasty to eat. Okay, so here's what we got. Garlic, ginger on top, dried stuff on bottom. I'm gonna shake it a little bit to try to get even coverage of the wet. And now, in our clean pan, we're ready to heat some oil up. Depending on how potent you want this to be, you change your oil ratio. Again, I eyeballed. I don't know how much is in here. Maybe a half cup. Maybe I should do a little more. Okay, that feels good. Go with your gut. Once the oil starts shimmering, I'm going to pour it in like a tablespoon at a time. We're going to try to not break anything here. Are we not also glad I have so much counter space now? Oil is shimmering. We're gonna go past the shimmering until it becomes still. Getting close. I'm fascinated that everyone thinks as soon as I mention a male name that I have to be in a relationship with somebody. Fascinating, fascinating. What does that say? This is not a good pour spout. It's going to lead to oil all over my stove. So I'm going to use a big spoon and we're going to spoon it in. Okay, so I'm just going to test 1 spoonful right now. Nice. Hi, Dan. Okay, I think I'm gonna let the oil get a little hotter and we can go in with all of the oil. I think this bowl can probably take it. I'm not sure. I'm actually not sure right now. I don't want to make a mess. Last thing I need is a mess on New Year's Eve. But I also think at this rate, I'm not going to be able to pull much color out of the chilies unless I start flooding them. So that is where I'm stuck. We got to go all in, I think. It's very zen watching the oil bubble. Fascinating that it can look so much like water, but do so much more damage than the same amount of water can at this temperature. I'm starting to smell the fryer oil, so I think it's time. Broccoli is for me, Dan. You can have some if you like, but I need veggies too. Olive oil just went into the pan. I only cook with olive oil. I fry with canola. Canola oil for the chili. What comments did I miss out on? I mean, I'm gonna fart like I always do, Dan. I don't know how much you fart. I have a fart quota to meet. Tattoo felt nice until I got chili oil over it. I might eat all of this broccoli tonight. Good luck me. Okay, while this is cooking, we shall do our beans. Chickpeas are definitely too mushy, so that is minus points for me. Very mush. So, usually, with chili oil, you're supposed to let it marinate for like a day or two before using it. Thankfully, with this batch, we won't be like, oh, my phone is burning. Okay. We shall end this really soon so that my phone doesn't die. But we won't be eating this bean salad until probably tomorrow or later. I can taste it. But we can go ahead and use some of this now. Hope you're ready for spicy. I'm waiting for the onions to get translucent and for the carrots to soften. Now I want to see how we're doing spice-wise. Definitely needs salt. I think it's actually pretty spicy right now. Pretty happy with that. All right. A little bit of tar marks on our vegetable, which is ideal. I'm gonna wait for it to cool a little bit, and then we can taste this. And I chopped up some cilantro stems, which are really nice and crunchy, and fresh, so it'll add a little nice contrast to the spicy beans and our semi-crunchy veg. Just going for a little bit of a balance here. So the first rule of working in a restaurant is, especially if you're new on the line or to the profession, you must always take a bite or two out of the serving that you're cooking, and you must taste it before it goes out to the customer. One of the major rookie mistakes is under seasoning or over seasoning, and so it's extremely important that you see if you salted it right before it goes out to the table. So here we go. Okay. I think salt level's okay. Now, mind you, I still have like an inhibited sense of smell and taste from COVID, I think, but overall good. I think it could stand to use a little more fat in the form of chili oil. And this way, Dan can sweat his butt off. Pretty great, y'all. I'm gonna make a little pasta for myself after this. But I'm gonna go off the live because my phone is burning and dying. Okay, here it is. Beans, 3 kinds, carrots, jalapeno, onions, chili oil, and now cilantro. We're done! We did it! Yay! I predicted it would take me 3 hours, and lo and behold, it basically did. So, Happy New Year, I guess. Or, you know, same old miseries. Cheers. Can't wait to fart all by myself. And I hope you guys have a fantastic celebration. Goodbye.